We 5 minutes late. I'm going to the Chris Daughtry concert tonight. Going to give him his copies of his magazine layout. You know, going to give him that.
Cool.
So yeah, so that'll
You're
be.
going to see her play too?
Yeah, yeah. Is your microphone near your face?
It is now.
There we go. And there's Frank. Frank is
Something
here.
I usually forget.
All right. Yeah, I was just telling Romano that tonight's the Daughtry show. I'm going to bring magazines to bring him, and people. I'm sure the kids there are going to be like, "What is that person holding? What are those relics? Those ancient." And it'll be that
hieroglyphics.
Yeah,
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that, like, our kids, literally, my son does not really ever read a magazine or a book. It's all on his devices, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I would imagine that my grandchildren are not even going to know what paper is, you know?
No, they're gonna wear goggles, dude. They're gonna wear the space goggles. Oh,
well, you know what my son asked me for Christmas. He wanted all the hardcover Harry Potter books in the Harry Potter thing. So I just bought. I don't know how many are in the series. 7, 9, 7. I don't know, whatever there is. But that's what he wanted. The Harry Potter.
maybe it's gonna be like vinyl. Like it'll make a comeback. It'll be cool to read books again. I hope so because I like books. I like books, and I prefer to hold them because it's like a break, you know, because I'm always on a screen, be it my phone or a tablet or a computer. So it's nice to feel a separation.
Nice to have something tangible in your hand to read.
It is.
Like,
It
it's
is.
just like. But yeah, I bought. You know how much? Guess how much those Harry Potter books were, John?
A lot.
Take
The
a
whole
guess.
series?
The whole series, hardcover. They come in a chest, a Harry Potter official chest.
Right.
Okay.
Probably like $500.
No, 300.
That
300 bucks.
was going to be my next
Wow.
one. Yeah.
I was gonna say $150. Jeez,
That's a lot.
that's pricey. Why didn't Santa bring it?
At 16, I don't know if they're.
Yeah,
I don't think the elves are that advanced.
I don't think Santa's accepting requests from 16-year-olds anymore.
Elves don't have AI to help them yet.
Is Dr. Jackson coming on today? Did you reach out?
No, not yet. I did. I'm gonna reach. I didn't reach out to him yesterday just because it probably would have involved a back and forth, and I just want to see if he's cool just to come on. And you know, I wasn't ready for that yesterday.
I don't want him on because it's going to involve having a conversation with him to come on.
No, it's you know, sometimes it's like you got to explain to people like what, but you know, I am going to reach out to him because I've been looking at, it's Dr. Dwayne Jackson, been looking at him on Instagram a lot. He always does interesting things on peptides and substances, and it's mostly about clearing up misinformation or educating people on it. And I think it's a really good person to come on because I know, John, you're skeptical about peptides, and I think it could be really, really cool. And thank you, Surf and Turf. I appreciate that. My bangs are goofy. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Why is everyone that has surgery now that I know, even a doctor or whatever, you know, that I know just had quad surgery, they're all taking BPC.
BPC 157. Yep, all of them. Yeah. Everybody's taking. My wife is using it for her back. It works.
Well, that's a peptide, isn't it?
Yep. I'm not. The thing with me and peptides is that they are very new to our world compared to everything else, and there's just not a lot of research on them, and there's thousands of them. There's a peptide to grow your toenails. I mean, they're everywhere. So, obviously some are good, some are not so good, some are very effective, some are not, and it's a freaking sea of unknown out there. But so to have somebody that can actually, talk his way around that area is really good, and I'd be really interested in that event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because Frank has been, pushing me to be more active on Instagram, and I'm seeing how, and look, I'm thankfully he was, because I'm seeing how important it is to support not only the things that you're doing, but the things for other people as well. So I like to comment and like and all that stuff and share. But, it has, because of a lot of the things I think that we speak about and that we're sharing, these things are starting to pop up more. Whereas I wasn't really getting his
Hmm.
at all, but now I am. So I don't know. It's really cool. Like just the other day, I think it was a BP. Like how many of those are there? Those BPC? Is there like a bunch of them or?
There's got to be, because I'm up to, I use 157, so there's got to be 156 of them before that, right?
Yeah, that's right. That makes
But
sense.
if you don't see them all, can you catch up on the 140 on
Wait,
157? Will
it's
I
the
be lost
WD,
if I do?
it's the WD-40 model. You know, it's like the WD-40 was the 40th attempt at getting the water dispersal agent right. So it's water
Look,
dispersal 40 is what WD-40 is.
I,
So
I was I was completely lost in the Seed of Chucky, the second one, because I didn't see the
Oh,
first one.
yeah. Yeah, you
there
got to
you
keep
go.
up. You got to keep tabs on those. They really do jump around. I watched Cult of Chucky as well not too long ago.
Is that another one? Cult of Chucky. Look, if you really look at some of these horror movies, they're like, I mean, the concept. Imagine going in to pitch them. Listen, there's a crazy doll, and he's got a, and he kills people. Wait, this guy comes out. He was a child molester, and he's coming out to kill kids, and his name is Freddy Krueger, and like, you got to be listening to these things. Like, are you serious? And meanwhile, they probably got 37 movies between all of these, like,
Yeah,
Believer movies and everything else. It's like
dude, and
Friday
it's
13th, and it's
mhm.
crazy.
Let's see
I don't
here.
know.
Do you want to do a question? Do you want me to jump? No, no. I mean, I could go on about that. I just don't know if John is going to be able to keep up. I doubt he's watching the same horror movies as you and I, Frank. I don't know if, if he's watching anything.
I don't watch any horror movies
The
at all.
best horror
I
movie.
barely watch any movies, regardless of the genre. I'm like, and I just put a theater room downstairs, so like, I guess
That makes
I gotta
sense.
start.
A guy who doesn't watch movies has a theater.
Well, my favorite horror movies are by Rob Zombie. The
Oh,
Devil's
okay.
Rejects, and that he's awesome.
House
You know.
was it House of a Thousand Corpses or there's
Yes,
that. He obviously did the two Halloween reboots, the 1
with
and 2.
with Sid Haig. I like
Yeah.
the creepier the better, but the House of a Thousand. Oh my God, man, those are great movies. Devil's Rejects.
So
But if you want to,
also
all right, last bit. If you want to see a good
sure.
horror movie, watch Smile.
Yeah,
Smile.
I'm about to watch the second one. It's streaming now on Paramount Plus.
Oh, is it? I gotta watch.
Yeah.
The first one is crazy, right? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah, it
God.
was. It was good. It was creepy for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, listen, there's also John, as you know, Frank picked up a second job. He is now a DJ. He DJs in his off time. Am I lying,
Wow,
Frank?
that's
That's
awesome.
according to Instagram. Yeah, a couple of people DM me and asked me if I would, how much I would charge to DJ their Christmas party.
Should throw a number out there, see what happens. Maybe you can farm it out.
Yeah, Frank was at an event this weekend, and that was something that he did. But I'm sorry, Dale. I'm sorry if we're boring you. Please tell us what you'd like to talk about.
Poor
Tell
Dale.
us,
Sorry,
Dale.
we're
Tell
warming
us.
Yeah, poor
Tell
guy.
us.
We'll
Tell
talk
us what.
we'll talk bodybuilding. I was just in the gym before. I was talking to Max Charles. Max Charles, as you know, is a bodybuilder. Um,
Wait.
and we were talking.
Max Charles is an insanely strong bodybuilder. You got to put in there.
How could I put insanely strong when I grew up with the likes of very, very insanely strong bodybuilders?
Right.
What would I call Ronnie Coleman? What would I call Dorian Yates? Would I call him insanely squared to the
Yeah.
max? Like what would
I
I
don't know.
call Vic Richards?
I saw Max Charles train at Beb's a few times. The fucking guy was strong as hell, man. I mean, he had the hammer incline press machine. He had all the plates on the ears that it could hold, and then he started hanging them on the handles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Strong.
I don't do
I
that.
would say Max is. We had him on the show, but he's a funny guy too. But we were talking about. I was talking about this bikini competitor, and we were talking about people who compete. And they're like, "How'd you do?" Top 3. How many people were in the show? 3.
3.
Yeah. We're talking about that. But when did the whole, I don't know, evolution of competing change? a woman came up to me, and she's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 pounds overweight. And she said, I'm doing a bikini show. And I said, oh, well, good for you. And I said, when's the show? And she's like, 3 months. And we spoke about this. And I'm like, when did it go hand in hand that you have to do a bikini show and not just get in shape? I don't know. Like, aren't there steps? Like, if I started training for the Olympia right now, 3 months out, I pretty much know I'm coming in last. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to be a realist. I mean, but when is it? I mean, it's a lofty goal to have, but I don't know.
So
It's strange.
are you saying that? Oh, you got an alert. Are you saying that they're watering down the competition because they're not coming in shape? So they're using it as this excuse or catalyst to get themselves in shape. So essentially, they're showing up not what you typically expect previously in competition.
I'm just saying, like, if you go to, like, if you judge a show, especially an NPC show on any level, and you do a bikini class, there could
Yes.
legitimately in a class B, C, be 30 competitors.
Right.
Now, and they come out, they come on stage 10 at a time, 10 at a time. I mean, it's very easy to take, who's not going to win and who's going to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's a
Yeah.
big difference between, God damn it, the big difference between who's first and, the top group and who's not the top group. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, why not just get in shape first and then do that? I don't know. It's like you're jumping all the way to the a level way ahead of the game. I don't know. I mean, it's very lofty. It's very, I don't know, but I just don't have. I don't know. Many people never had that mentality. Like when you competed, Zach, you did a regular novice show. God damn it, my phone. Fuck.
You need a dash mount.
So you do an what do you call it? You do a novice, an open,
Right.
a national qualifier,
Yeah.
the Junior USA,
Yeah.
the
There's
Junior
a trajectory.
Nationals,
There's like a
the
hierarchy of what you do.
USA,
Right.
and then you do your pro shows. Like that used to be the order, but now it's completely changed. Where if people are just jumping into shows and they're mad if they don't get their pro card after 2 shows. It's just weird how
Yeah,
the mentality of things have changed. Talk about books. Talk
Yeah.
about
right,
how
right.
that mindset has changed. It's
Well,
crazy.
what happened was that first of all, some people need a goal. They need a goal date. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to lose 20 pounds. Let's use this show as
Right.
a date. So you got a target,
Cool.
to zone in on, right? What happens is they get absorbed in this idea, and the show now becomes not a target to lose 20 pounds, but a celebration of the fact that they've lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's just to what happens is they use the show not to compete but to show how they did or how they looked. So there are legitimate competitors there who are competing to win the show, not to see how well they do or to see, to celebrate the fact that they lost 150 pounds and they got 20 yards of extra skin flapping in the breeze. That shit does not belong on stage. If you need a goal, a date, pick a wedding or a graduation or something and use that. The show is for serious competitors, people who are competing to win. So I always use the example of you don't enter a Formula One race to see if you can parallel park, right? You enter to win. So when you have these people who never have competed before, have no idea what they're going to look like after they diet off all their fat, and they're using this show as some kind of exemplary thing to do that's going to show off all their good work. It's not fair to everybody else competing, and it's not fair to the audience, and it's not fair to the judges that have to weed you out. So if you're going to compete to win. You don't compete to lose 20 pounds, see how you look, see how you did, see how you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? It's just not fair to the
Yeah.
legit competitors, right?
I agree. And
Okay.
it's the same token. You have like if you have 10 people in a class and there are 10 good competitors, only
Mm,
2 are going to get qualified, right? And then if you
right.
go into like a class H where everyone's really tall and there's only one competitor in there and she, doesn't even look like she trained, or even men's physique, if they don't even look like they train, they get the nod to go into, to qualify for the nationals or whatever it may be, and yet they
Right.
never look like they trained a day in their life. Like, you know what I mean? It's weird. So I don't
I,
know.
I just
Just
I,
strange.
I don't know, Frankie, as a judge, as a judge, you have people don't really realize this. They don't know what judging is like. Judging is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is one of those things where you are forced to make split second decisions and then not go back. It's the show's got to flow, right? You got 1,500 people. You can't be dilly dallying over. Oh, her arms are
No.
bigger than her shoulder. You know what I mean? It's like boom, 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 on to the next. And you got to be really, really good to stand out, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's funny because on an amateur level, there are competitors ask, well, how did I get lost in the sauce, or how did I, why did I get called out? Is it political? Is it no? You got to remember, where are the judges sitting, and what are they directly looking at? They're
mhm.
directly looking at your midsection.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the first thing you're looking across. So if you have on an amateur level 5 guys up there,
Hmm.
right? John, you and I both know that, the serratus and the lower ab and the vein, like you could pretty much weed out 2 of those
Right.
people. They're not hard enough. But the big, so conditioning is key
Yep.
on the amateur level, because a lot of people will come in big, but they'll look fat, and a guy will come in. It's always, if you look at it, it's always a guy who, not always, but majority of the time, is like he's conditioned. He's got the quads. He might not be the biggest, but very conditioned. So I always tell, look, come in conditioned. The hardest thing to do is a judge is when there's 5 guys up there or 5 women who are middle of the road, and they all look the same. Now you're like, wow, now
Right.
you're picking, now you're
Now
really
what?
like, wow, I gotta pick this apart and say, where do I, all right, who lacks this, who lacks that, who's got this? And then you gotta go pose for pose. And sometimes those, especially in bodybuilding, they'll be up there for a while because you, like John, you can't make that split decision anymore because
Right.
Yeah.
it's too
Yeah.
close. This guy's got
Then what?
legs. Yeah, I mean, what do you do with a guy who's got like a Tom Platz lower body and doesn't look like he trained his upper body, but yet you got a guy who's got, a Ronnie Coleman upper body and no legs?
No
Like, you know
legs.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Right.
you, like,
So
what do you,
Can you
so
make
yeah.
a tie? Can you award a tie between the two and give them like the upper
can
body
you
half
morph
to the
them?
one guy?
So let me ask you then. So
Between the
Frank,
two of
if
you, you made one bodybuilder.
well, actually, I could ask
Yeah.
both you guys, but if I'm a competitor that is coming in and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm not at all where I want to be, but still going to go through with it. Should you then shift to focus just on conditioning? So at least you're showing up with something to show. Because if you're not going to be the size you want, or there's something off about it and you know it, should you then like shift your focus and do an audible to just condition the shit out of yourself?
As a bodybuilder or any competitor, if you're going into a show, you should go on NPC News Online and go look at the pictures of the previous competitions, so you know exactly what you're getting into.
Yep.
Right.
Now, all right, so if you're going into the super heavyweight class, right?
Hmm.
All right, so and you just make like, if you're 225 or whatever it may be, and there's going to be guys in there 250, 260, 270. You're never gonna win the mass battle, right? So you
No.
gotta come in with the right plan anyway. You go like, all right, I'm gonna come in diced because there's gonna be guys bigger than me, but are my legs symmetrical? Do I have enough mass on my legs? Like, you gotta ask these questions before you compete. But if if you're a men's physique competitor, I mean, you gotta come in as conditioned as possible, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because now you're in a weight division, right? There's height and weight, same as classic physique, and you gotta come in and diced. So I mean, that should be your number one, but
Yep.
you gotta make sure you have a substantial amount of muscle before you decide you're gonna compete anyway, right, John? I mean,
Well, there's an illusion though that being
yeah,
conditioned on stage creates. I remember I was in Cuba. I was in Cuba and was walking down the street, and about 2 blocks down, there was a kid rake with a rake, and he was raking. Right, man, I'm
John,
so clogged up in the morning. he was raking his shirt off, and he's raking. And as he's raking, I'm like 2 blocks away. I'm seeing serratus and abs and pecs. And his kid, as I'm walking up to this kid, he looks like this guy belongs on stage. And then I get right up to him. He's a scrawny little kid with no muscle, but because he was so ripped, the distance, it's the same thing when you're judging a show. The guy's on stage, the guy that's gonna or girl who's gonna catch your attention the quickest first is the one who's most ripped, right? So, and that will create an illusion that maybe they have smaller muscles than they actually appear to have. But the fact that they're shredded gives you that first impression of what they're going to look like. Now, there was a girl who competed recently, maybe last year. She was, I guess, about 300 pounds, and she lost like 150 pounds. And she wanted to use this competition, as a showcase for her yards of extra skin. And, okay, so she lost 150 pounds. That's fantastic. I would laud her just for that. But to get on stage after losing 150 pounds and you still have 300-pound skin, that's not going to look. You're going to immediately. It's the exact opposite. You're going to look at her. Okay, we got last place. That's that. So much for your celebration of accomplishment. Boom, we got last covered. Now let's get on with the real show.
No, but I think you're missing I don't know this person, but I think you're missing that they probably just wanted the views. They wanted clout. They wanted people to pay attention to them. Like that's got to be it, right? Because
regardless of how negative it was,
right? I think, yeah. I mean, that's what people do for social media. It helps build their followings. It helps build whatever. Maybe they have some sort of a message to get out. I don't know because I don't know who this person was, but that's what I've seen happen over and over again. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the strategy going in, but or maybe it was just like, hey, I'm going to do it and F these people and I'm going to get last, and so what?
I mean, you got to be a complete idiot to think that if you're going to go on stage, everybody's going to be kind.
Right.
You're the best bodybuilder in the world. People are ripping you apart. So if you're going to do a show, be prepared to be judged not only by the judges, but by everybody that sees those pictures. There's going to be people that look at other people like, oh, he's way too muscular. Oh, he's fat. Oh, he's 4 weeks out. Oh, he's got small calves. Oh, you're never going to. So be prepared for the negativity. Yeah. And, the negative comments, if you lose 100 pounds, you come in shredded or whatever it may be, it doesn't matter because your friends will be like, oh, you look great. You look amazing. Sure. And then there's the other people, no calves.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
All that
You're
stuff.
You're going to have to toughen up, man, because you said it. Once you put yourself out there, even now, look, we have people on here telling us that we're boring and we're putting them to sleep, and it's fine. Like, I don't care, but you have to be ready for it because you just have to understand what you're putting yourself out to. Let me jump. This guy, Get Massive 999, he's written his question 2 times in 2 parts. I can tell he's just chomping at the bit to get it out there. So let's do it. Saw Martin Fitzwater on Dennis James' podcast. He was saying he wants to have the best booty on stage. What is with these feminine bodybuilders nowadays? Bodybuilders in the 90s didn't care. They didn't train glutes directly, etc. Do you think there is something in the water? I think it's the water.
and this guy has drunk too much of it. That's complete. That is so false on so many levels. I don't even know where to start. Rich Gaspari was the first guy to concentrate on his glutes in the 80s, and he was the first bodybuilder with striated glutes on stage. He incorporated a whole bunch of different exercises, walking lunges, reverse lunges, blah, 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 in order to focus on his glutes, to get them striated. And he did. And since then, striated glutes is the benchmark of conditioning throughout all of bodybuilding. So to say that men don't focus on their butts is like ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, there has been bodybuilders in the past who, do specific movements and stuff for glutes. Like if you would have said back in the day, there was another one too, bodybuilder, Andres Munzer. Jesus, man, that guy shredded. And then there was Hamdullah Akadullah. That guy was like, Jesus, man. That guy was super duper shredded. But, I don't know. I don't know. Now, if you go into commercial gyms, I just left Bev's. there's 4 hip raise machines in there
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
So
I my gym in Mexico, I put in a room all leg, all glute machines. It was an entire room, was about 800 square feet, all glutes. Every press, upside down, back kick, squeeze thing that you can imagine, I had in there. And there were women in there to train 5 days a week, training their butts 5 days a week, and
look,
almost no men.
yeah. When you compete in a show, you look your body's looked at every angle. So I mean, and just for newbies or people coming to the gym, nobody wants to get older and have their ass look like a chewed up piece of bubble gum. So they're
Yeah.
gonna do have glute specific exercises, like like.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but squats and deadlifts were always the mainstay of
Right.
building
Yep.
So
glutes
Frank,
and
there's a
lunges.
question for you. Did you do? Does Frank do? Did Frank do glute bridges? Because Coleman and Cutler never did them.
Wait a minute. How does this guy know what Coleman and Cutler never did? Does he
Because
train with
he's
them?
best
Does he
friends with
live
them.
with
Yeah.
them?
No.
Is he
Yes.
best
Both.
buddies with them?
He was their
So
former roommate and best friend from the
so
90s.
all right.
There you go. That answers that question.
So if you look at the bodybuilding magazines from the 90s through the 2012, the leg workouts, I don't remember ever seeing guys do glute bridges. No, and did I ever do them? No. The first time I did them was in 2022 at Don Saladino at the barn. He had a
Yeah.
glute machine, and I did them there with him and Maria Moda. But no, I never did them. And today I did legs. I did squats, stiff-legged deadlifts, lunges.
Yep.
I didn't do any direct.
I don't.
The,
Yeah. I
the
don't
other
think.
the other mistake people make is thinking that when they watch a video of like Mr. Olympia training, that encompasses every single exercise they ever do. That's every exercise, every workout is on their videos. And if it's not on their video, then they didn't do it. And
Yeah.
that's just ridiculous. There's some exercises that are boring to watch and people don't espouse them. Glute bridges are one of them. You can do them on a Smith machine, you can do them on a specific, glute bridge machine, whatever. If that is an exercise that creates an illusion that you're looking for, you're going to do it, whether you're a guy or girl, whether it's in the Ronnie Coleman video or a Jay Cutler video or not. It does not matter. You're going to do it because you think it works. Period. End of story.
Let me in on you. I'll let you in on a little secret right now, okay? About magazines in the 90s and 2000s. Okay, so you have a champion bodybuilder at whether it's Gold's Venice, Bev Francis gym. All right, photographer used to come in, set up the lights. He's like, "What exercises can we do for legs without moving the lights all the way across the gym?"
Yep.
So we're
Yep.
gonna do leg extensions. What else can we do here? Oh, lunges and stiff legged. All right, if we move over here, what's closest to the lying leg curl machine? Oh,
Yeah.
seated? You don't do seated leg curls? But yeah, it's so close. Let's do them anyway. And what would you do if you did 4 sets? It's 10 to 12, and the bodybuilder would be so tired and annoyed. Yeah, 4 sets, 10 to 12.
Or sometimes they'd say, just say 6 to 8 or maybe 10. Like, dude, they don't think it was set up to, as you said, for simplicity. We don't have all the time in the world here. Like, it's like, get it done and
You
leave.
don't.
And what happens is the people watching the video think that that's all the exercises they ever do.
Right.
All the gymnasts. It's like the guy I saw. I was a Jean-Pierre Fuchs or whatever, bench pressing with hundreds, and I'm like, wow, he's a lot stronger than that. But the gym they were in only went up to hundreds.
There you go.
All right. What about Samson's got he's chiming in. He says bodybuilding has changed drastically from the 90s,
Yes.
from the 80s and 90s. Now glutes, cut, separation, vascularity, etc., are being demanded to extreme levels. So the bodybuilders are self-conscious of it now. That I could understand that. I think that is a good point. That it's definitely more in demand. So yeah, they're going to be noticed. Whatever is going to get you, if you're going to compete, whatever's going to get you a win, or whatever the judges are pushing, you're going to go for it. I think. I mean, you're going to adapt.
Pop in a cassette of the 1993 Mr. Olympia, 94 Mr. Olympia, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And tell me that the guys who won previously aren't better than the guys that are up there now.
I'm not
Exactly.
saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in
And they're
terms
and
of
shredded wise too. I mean, you turn around. Phil Heath had striated glutes. Jay Cutler had striated glutes. Ronnie Coleman. Go look at 1998
Yep.
Ronnie Coleman. I mean,
I just
it's
think I thought the point was that it's just the priorities, right? Like you prioritize. Whereas even I mean, what who was it? Dorian who brought in you need to be bigger, right? And Ronnie, you have to be bigger. There's no way you're going to be Frank Zane in winning a
no.
a Mr. Olympia in that era. So you have to prioritize that. Whereas, I mean, look, you can. I mean, nowadays, I don't know. Like when I saw Andrew jacked, I'm like, dude, who's going to seriously try to
Huge.
get to that? Yeah, like you can't, like you couldn't do it. I don't even the second biggest person. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like there's, what do you? So how do you differentiate yourself? And that's what I was trying to go back to before, John. Is it you got to focus on the conditioning? I don't know. I don't compete, so
Yeah,
I'm asking.
Well, yeah, oh,
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. That's why I gave you the Cuban rake story. But the thing is, you need you got to have benchmarks. You got to have bellwethers to look for. So, in other words, you can eliminate a whole shit ton of guys as far as condition goes by just looking at their glutes. So, okay, these 5 guys have striated glutes. These 10 don't. Move them. I don't care how big their chest is, how deep their abs are, how capped their delts are. Don't matter. He's not shredded enough to have striated glutes. So that's a benchmark. So you use that as an indicator of how conditioned is this guy. Is he got a Christmas tree in his low back? Does he have all the striations on his tricep, horseshoe? And does he have striated glutes? If he's got striated glutes, he is definitely in that ultra conditioned category that, you're going to judge. You're not going to judge the guy who doesn't have striated glutes, right?
Absolutely. Look at Dorian when he hit his back lat spread. He pulled his elbows back. His lower back was ridiculously shredded. Like it was
Crazy.
crazy shredded. So I don't. It's always been that way, and it's funny because guys who came in like eighth or ninth, even like guys like Milos and other people like that, they were shredded too. I mean, they were shredded,
Yep.
but they weren't in the top. And if you look at Andrew jacked, and we were backstage, no different than when Big Ramy was competing and coming in third or second or fourth because he didn't have the quad cuts
Mhm.
and what he needed. He needed to get his conditioning better. And Dennis, James and the Diet Doc got him in crazy shape for that Olympia. But when I did the interview after the Olympia, the biggest difference that they said was his posing. They had him posing every day for hours. So when they put him through those rounds, because previous to that, he would always fade. So
Yes.
now this was the first time in the Olympia, he was like, wow, he was going through his
Yep.
paces and he wasn't winded and everything else. But doing all that posing actually brings out more separation and more cuts. And because you're basically you're burning calories, it's almost like another workout.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Luis Figueroa has a question. He said, "Hey guys, can you explain to me how a one body part per day work, sets, reps, and how many exercises per work?" I guess he's asking about if you're going to do one body part a day opposed to like a split of back, bis, chest, tris, and so on. How is that beneficial, and how would you break it up if you were going to work with someone like Lewis? Well, there's a million questions we usually talk about before this all starts, Lewis, depending on whether you're injured, how far along you are in your fitness journey, what your goal is, all that stuff. So let's assume that since we're talking about bodybuilding, you want to get bigger and stronger and in better shape. Okay, so yeah, I mean that is a good question though. Do you guys typically? I mean, I do this sometimes because this is how I train. But if someone that wants to compete, I guess, is the one body part a day still something that you would recommend?
Me, no. You, John?
It depends. I mean, I trained my whole entire life one body part a day, my entire body once a week.
Wow.
Ronnie Coleman trained his entire body twice a week. He's Mr. Olympia. I'm not. So you can use that example of what to do if you want.
It's too
But
boring for me.
what I think matters is this. I think what matters is when you go to the gym, you do the best job you can to stimulate muscle growth in that specific area. So that's going to mean drop sets, descending sets, giant sets, supersets, insane amount of effort given to maximally torch the muscle you're working. Then you go home and you rest and you grow. That's where that comes. So however many times a week it takes you, or however many days a week it takes you to get that amount of stimulation done, is what it's going to take. For some guys, it's one a day. For some guys, it's two a day. For some guys, it's twice a week, once a week. It depends on what you can recover from, both from a muscular standpoint as well as a nervous standpoint. You torch your nervous system tremendously when you go to failure constantly. So, in any of those schemes, if you're going to absolute failure and bust into the wall at every single time, you need 5 or 6 days to recover from that if you did it right. So it all depends on how you train. If you really train hard, you'll know you won't be able to train twice a week to do your whole body twice a week. It won't work, so you have to be able to accomplish what you set out to accomplish at a very high level. And if you're biting off too much, more than you can chew, you got to throttle it back a little until you can find that sweet spot where you are definitely getting maximal muscle stimulation and maximal recovery time to put the two together to equal what you're looking for. But to abstractly say as a blanket statement twice a week, that just doesn't work for everybody.
Frank, can you do that? It's just too boring for me. Like I have to keep moving, and I don't want to do that.
I've done it. I mean, but really, do you really train one body part? I mean, if you go into training back, you're
Never.
gonna do
Right.
traps, right?
Right.
Or you're gonna come in and do calves, and you're gonna do abs. You're not gonna do,
Right.
and then you're gonna do cardio. Like some people
Right.
do cardio. Like I think, I see what you're saying, but I grew up where people were doing volume training. They were training multiple times a week. It was always twice a week. And if you did the second rotation, you would change up your exercises drastically. So if you did, like, say back in the day, you did chest and buys and you did heavy bench presses to start, you would start with incline bench presses to start. Like you would switch up the
Right.
rotation and prioritize what have you. And some people train calves every day. Some people do, abs every day. It's like, but I couldn't just do one body part. I trained 21 days straight. I took a day off.
Yeah.
And so
You know,
that's what I did this
I
week.
think
I am
so. I
not,
think
it's not,
before
an
before when I
overtraining.
said that I do that, before when I said it's usually when I'm pressed for time. Like that's if I'm
Yeah.
pressed for
Yeah.
time, like really
I
pressed for
hate that.
time, and I want to focus on something to make sure that I can say that I put, like John said, put the effort in, then yeah, I'll just focus on one thing. Otherwise, I am, like yesterday, I did like 1, 2, 3, I did 2 different rounds of like, so 12 exercises total, and I did like 3 or 4 rounds each. And that, like, and that was great for me. I had a timer out. It was easy for me to comply. I didn't have to think, and I knew my sets were a minute long. My rest was 20 seconds. So I knew that each one, that's what I was going to do. And man, when I left, I was covered in sweat, feeling good, but I got to say, I could not do that with one
Well,
body part. I just couldn't
the
do it.
idea is to obliterate that body part in that
Hmm.
session and really
Right.
focus and focus on it and whatever. Look, it's better than not working out, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Right.
Yeah, for
it's,
sure.
it's another thing too. Like back in the day too, there was I tried this, I couldn't do it. Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday off, and Thursday, Friday, take the weekend off. That
Yeah.
was a good bulking. You
Mm-hmm.
killed your month Monday and Tuesday, and you killed it Thursday and Friday, and you
Yep.
were done for
Yep.
the weekend. I did that for a long time, and over the summer, I remember I was 16, 17, they put on like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, it's
That
just the
that was
way it
very
is.
popular back in the day. 2 days
Yep.
on, 1 day off, 2 days
Yeah.
on, 2 days off. That was
Yeah.
really popular. And
Then
guys like
three
me
days.
would come in on the off day because I would have to do calves and forearms and
Yeah. Yeah.
because I couldn't
Yeah,
stay out of golds because there was too much going on. So
yeah.
I
Plus, you're
never
like, I
went.
gotta get.
Whether I was off or not, I never didn't go to the gym because there was always something to see.
You're like, I gotta get the fuck out of the house too. I gotta get out of the
Hey.
Right.
house.
So, so,
Then it
so
was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday you train. And that, you know what I mean? It was always 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, one
Mhm.
off, and then it was 5-2, and then there's a whole bunch of different splits. But yeah, I basically train every day. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sue me.
I don't train on the I don't train on the weekends because the weekends I use for other shit. So
But you're
and
still
it's
active,
usually
right?
physical.
Yeah,
What?
you're still active. There's a
Yeah,
that's a thing.
exactly. I just don't go to the gym on those 2 days because I
Right.
like to stay home on the weekend. I like to do shit around the house, and it's usually physical, and it just kind of like breaks up the week. It's like going to work. You work Monday through Friday. I'm going to the gym Monday through Friday. I'm working. Taking the weekend off. But like I said, if I lived in Venice again and it was back in the 80s, I'd go to Gold's anyway because there's something to see.
I just want to show you guys something.
Oh, you got your mutts and muscles?
Got my mutts and muscles. There it is.
Awesome.
Woo. Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta
Yeah.
grab that.
LouisLegacy.org.
calendar.
Yeah. Look, and Kareth, we're still let me find him. Kareth, where are
Kareth.
you?
Jared.
Where
Come
are
on,
you?
bro.
Are you going to promote the calendar or not?
Bring that dog on the show too.
There it is. Go help this rescue out. It's awesome. Great cause. $30. Come on. You're already buying a bunch of Christmas presents and holiday presents or whatever
Right.
people celebrate. Go spend $30 to help some dogs, would you? We don't ask
Jeez.
much. Gosh.
Right. Right.
Tomorrow we got a big shoot tomorrow, right? We got to.
Yeah.
Did you figure out a time you're coming?
No. I mean, well, so tonight I got the Chris Daughtry concert because the dam's about to break. And then getting up as early as I can. And I'm hoping to leave by like 7:15. And then just hit the road and battle the traffic and get there as soon as possible. Get to Bev's as soon as I possibly can. It's going to be listen, Frank and I are going to be busy tomorrow. Oh man, it's a lot.
So wait, from your house in Jersey to Bev's in the morning rush, that's got to be a 3-hour drive.
Yeah,
3 hours?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll be 3 hours. And yeah, I'm going to rent a car. So I don't have to worry about getting home on time to get the kids from school. So my wife can do that. So we're going to be hitting it hard. There's so many things that we're going to be doing. There's a ton of stuff, man.
It's all on the phone too. Everything's gonna be filmed on the phone.
Yeah.
So here's something fun. So somebody asked Frank and I the other day. They're like, "Hey, do you guys have any behind the scenes of photos or videos of you and the crew?" It's like the crew.
Crew.
The crew. This is it.
Is that a kind of shirt? What is
This
that?
is the crew. Like the
Whoa.
crew.
We got a lot of stuff to shoot, but we'll probably knock that thing out in 10 minutes, and then we're gonna have to just go get other stuff to do. But it's gonna
Yeah.
be.
Oh, I
It'll
got
be
questions.
great.
I got 60-second questions going on. I got
Oh,
I got whatever we can knock out, we can knock out, and it's gonna be cool.
Absolutely, we could
I'd
fight
bet.
Derek Panzer to death. We could fight him in the ring.
Dude, John,
What is that?
Yeah. He asked this before, by the way.
Right?
Do John and Frank need to take blood pressure meds now that due to extreme steroid abuse? Man, you're on a roll today getting that.
That's a good one.
799.
Funny. That dude's
Well, at least
funny.
you didn't say
man.
ED drugs, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Right.
If Frank and John take ED drugs because they could go fuck each other.
Oh my
Steroid
god.
abuse. Define extreme.
Right. Define that.
No, I have the
man.
app. I have the blood pressure app, and my blood pressure yesterday was 120/74. And then my last blood work, they do the wellness visit, whatever it was, like 118/70 something.
My blood pressure has been the exact same since high school. 120/80. Every time I take it, every time, everywhere, my entire life, it's been 120/80, no matter what. Today, it's 120/80. So,
That's the thing. See, Italians, they scream and yell, so they let it out. So it's not,
Exactly.
it's not all caught up in there. It doesn't fester.
Nope,
All
doesn't
right.
build up. We let it out at the table.
Scatman wants to know, is the reverse hyper machine good for stretching the lower back?
Yes, I use it
Yeah.
every day. I had bought one. I have it downstairs. I use it every single day. To me, it's got to be the right one though. There's the hang off part has got to be, it's got to be right. But if it
Which one do
is,
you
that
use?
is,
Which brand is it? Which brand do you have?
I think it's an Icarian. I think Life Fitness or an Icarian. I forgot which it is. It's one of the
Okay.
two. And it's just a simple, hyper bench. But man, when you just lay on that thing, hook your ankles underneath the pad and lay, rock forward. Oh my God, that is before I bought one, some days my back was bothering me. I would stop at the gym if I was passing the gym, I'd stop in for like 10 minutes and hang on that thing because it felt so good. I love that thing.
Nice. Yeah. I use it for that too. Like I don't have one at home, so it's been a while since I used one. But man, when I saw him with that question, I definitely have used that for that same purpose, and it always feels good. It always feels like it opens up.
I don't use it because the bodybuilders in the '90s and 2000s never used it.
Yeah. If I didn't see it in the '90s video, then I'm not gonna
Yeah,
try
well,
it.
then it didn't happen, right? Or if a girl did it, then God forbid you do it.
Yeah. The other thing Scatman
yeah.
said is Frank hinted that you guys were thinking about a new After Dark quote unquote show with gossip like a week ago. And I do remember us talking about that. I can't remember if we were serious or not, but
I thought that was this show.
well, I don't know.
Why does it have to be after dark?
I don't know because
right?
because it's like I guess everything we do has to be tied into RX Muscle or a rip off of them or something.
Exactly right.
That's when after dark is when John and I take our blood pressure medication.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Or
lament
abortion.
about the horrendous
Does your
steroid
blood pressure
abuse.
medicine say M&M on them too? Because mine does.
Man, I mean, get massive 999. You're on a roll today, man. Of just like you're. I don't know. Like everything has been a miss. I feel like, all this stuff.
Have you guys gone on X and watched some of the videos that they have on there? They are way more they're crazy. I mean, people getting shot in the face. There's
Oh yeah,
domestic violence.
yeah.
There's a road rage
X?
video. Yeah, there's a road rage video of a guy jumps out of his car and he walks in and he gets shot in the face. There's guys getting knocked out in like fast food restaurants and everything
Yeah, I've
else.
seen it.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know.
same with
It's
Reddit,
always
man. Like both of those have like way more tolerance for
crazy.
Whereas we put up fucking John Cena from the Oscars, and it gets flagged and it gets taken down. So, I mean, how nuts is
We
that?
got flagged. We got flagged for a bikini competition on Muslim Fitness Hers the other day. But I gotta ask you this question. Like, I think the hardest job out there is a police officer, right? I mean, that's got to be the toughest job right now. And I have so much respect. I have family members and, who are my father and my brother are police officers. Like, you watch these domestic violence things, right? I'm watching a couple of videos on X. And it always seems like, the cops do the right thing. They break it up and, whatever, the guy or the woman or whatever, they punch each other, hit each other, right? And now, Zach, you have like, at the end, they're like hugging and kissing and like, or how is that? How does that work? Like, you haul off and punch somebody in the face, and then 2 minutes later, you're hugging and kissing and yelling at the police to stop.
Yeah.
Don't hurt him, don't hurt him, don't hurt him, don't hurt her. Like I don't know I can't wrap my brain around it. Because I don't know, any of you guys got punched in the face by your domestic partner, and then all of a sudden, a minute later, you're hugging them and kissing them and telling the cops not to
Right.
hurt them. What is like? What's the psychology behind that, John?
Well, what's worse is that if you're there, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've always learned. Look, you stand up for the little guy, right? So if a woman is getting beaten on by a man, you step in, right? You don't just stand there and do nothing, right? So I was in a Circle K one time, and this guy was starting to wail on his girl, and he came back for a punch, and I grabbed his fist from behind. I pulled it behind his back, got him in like a half Nelson, and tried to throw him out of the store. So I'm throwing him into the door, right? And the door's not opening, and I'm smashing him into the door. I'm by the back of the head. I'm smashing him into the door, and I'm like 4 times, and the door won't open. And I go turn to the attendant behind the desk. Why won't the door open? She goes, it opens in. I said, oh.
I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around this. Like, why is it too? And then I started watching more of these videos and getting more disturbed. Like, it's you watch these videos and the people are telling the stories. It's not always the woman getting beat up; it's the man getting beat up sometimes too.
Yes,
You know,
it
it's
is. It is.
yeah. But it was one of the things was like, why do I don't know if it's all of them, but people who have suffered domestic violence, they seem to find another partner who also had domestic violence issues. Like, you know what I mean? Like they go from one horrible situation to another horrible situation. I don't know. I think we need
Yeah.
to have a whole show on it, John. I figured your father and mother, right, were psychodists. You
My
would know
father was a
better than any of us.
psychiatrist. Yeah,
But yeah.
we can work on that.
It's just so bad watching these things. I'm watching that. I'm watching the squirrel who got executed on accident.
Oh,
Did you see that?
Peanut. The
Yeah.
peanut.
How horrible
Yeah,
is that?
that was horrible. That was that was the biggest overstep I've ever seen in my life. That was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really bad.
That was the cruelest, most stupid thing I think I've ever seen a cop do.
For
horrible.
Yeah, and for what, you know? Like that's the whole thing. I'm like, what? There was really no reason to do that.
They could have let him stay in the yard. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
Let him in.
Yeah. Why do you have to? That was horrible. Made friends with him, fed him, the whole thing, and they fucking killed him.
Could have set up like a big dog house and sat in a dog house with him or something. Like there was other ways to go about that. Yes. It was horrible.
It was awful.
Yeah, no, that was. Okay, speaking of, let's go to something real quick, if you don't mind. So, let me try to put this up if I can. Good Lord. Hang on.
Oh, look, is it technology? You're putting something up?
I'm putting something up.
Wow.
It's a technology, yes. Let me see here, though. Am I really putting it up? This is really not going as anticipated, so hang on. All right, yeah, it is. Yep. All right, so this is actually, December 11th is when, for 2017, is when Sean Perrine passed away. So that's tomorrow. So
that was 17 already? Holy shit.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do something quick and just say, for those who didn't know, this guy was really, really a solid dude.
Awesome guy.
Really, he died at 51 of lung cancer. Theory is that when 9/11 happened, he actually went down and started to help clean up the wreckage and stuff like that. A lot of people that were down there, they got sick. And lung cancer, it ripped through him. It was horrible. It was just the worst. And he was a real solid dude. And he was a real big advocate of the industry. And I could see him starting to change things, the way he approached the industry and stuff. There were some things he was really starting to get irritated about. I think social media was part of that. Like he thought it was really focused on a lot of, me, look at me, instead of like, hey, let's try to help other people and bring them up. But point is, he was always living the lifestyle. This dude, I mean, there was one time that he bought pizza for the office, and everyone comes up and takes a piece, and I see him grab a slice, and he's looking at it, and he walks into his office, and then he shuts the door, and then a few minutes later, he walks back out and puts it back. He just couldn't eat it. He just wasn't. He just couldn't do it. And that was just who he was. He didn't judge anybody, but he was just a super nice guy. Always trained hard. Loved to train. Had when he was younger, he idolized Arnold. Clearly, he didn't have the same build, so he changed his goals, but. He got to know Arnold pretty well, and they had a good relationship, and I don't know, he was just a really solid dude, and it sucks that he's not around, and it was a real bummer.
Was his mom still training Bevs?
I'm not. Zack, you can hear just up. The church bells just went off. What, you were doing that?
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
See
his mom last year she's still devastated over,
I'll
Yeah.
there's
bet.
nothing
Yeah.
worse than the loss of a child. She was putting these verses tattooing on her arms,
Oh
and
wow.
Oh,
verses and stuff, and she went to a friend of mine at Tormented Soul, Steve, and Steve was putting him on, and Steve didn't charge her or whatever, and she came up to me in the gym. She's like, "Oh, what should I, tip him or this or that?" And I said, "Get him a Bev Francis sweatshirt." So she
yeah.
wound up getting him a sweatshirt at Bev's for for him
Ah,
and everything. It was, yeah, it's sad.
Wow.
She's I sent
God,
you the
how do you
picture the
live?
other day, right, Zach? Of
Yeah.
Sean and I that I have, yeah. Because every year we do the Olympia,
Hmm.
I'd hang out with Sean back, at all the different things we had going on. He was a good guy, man.
Great guy.
Yeah, it was. I actually found this when I've been digging through a lot of my hard drives looking for stuff, for footage and things like that. And I ran into this folder that was on one of his hard drives in his office after he passed away. And I just took the pictures off it and put it into a folder just in case that hard drive would ever get lost or something would ever happen to it. But yeah, I missed the guy. He was really cool, real supportive. And honestly, I really don't know I don't know anybody that had a negative thing to say about
No
him.
one.
He was,
No one.
yeah,
No
just
one.
a really agreeable guy, like great personality, really dry humor, and really talented. And and he cared about this industry a lot, and he cared about getting the word of health and wellness and being healthy, and that was his big big goal in life was to make more people aware that they could do it too. And I don't know, it was really cool, and I just missed the guy, and I just want to take a couple of
That was
seconds
great.
to
Yeah, that was nice of you to
say
do
that.
that.
That was
All
nice.
right.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out
Nice.
how to get back to the other
And the
thing.
church bell went off. Pretty cool.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah,
back
so
to
that was it. But
back to the mix.
yeah, back to the mix. But yeah, that was man, it's crazy. It's been that long. You know what I mean?
Time is flying. It's
It
flying,
is.
flying. This month is
Can't
flying
believe that was
too.
2017. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Iceland actually
7 years ago?
when
Wow.
they did the funeral because I was doing a Spartan Ultra, it was a 24-hour one, and I didn't take this into consideration. So Sean had passed away a couple days prior, and when I was there was only like 4 hours of daylight. So I'm by myself doing a 24-hour thing in mostly darkness. Man, and there was some really dark time. Like I broke down a lot just because you're alone with your thoughts in the weather was horrible. It was raining and snowing, and it was really cold. And I don't know, man. There was a lot, but it's also like it was a good time to reflect and good time to think about things. But man, that was just that sucked. That was bad.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Yep. That's no
That
bueno.
one hit hard, man. Out of all the ones we've had to deal with, that was one of the biggest ones, I think.
Well, it's because he he lived. He ate clean. He lived clean. He didn't smoke cigarettes. He never smoked a cigarette. I saw him take like one sip of wine at my wedding. That was it. And like he lived it and he cared and he was a really good advocate. And man, it's nuts that it just sucks. It just sucks that life's not fair. This is stuff like this happens, and you gotta
Nope.
just live it up.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, listen, that's about an hour. That's a good place to wrap. But we'll come back. We'll come back Thursday. And listen, it'll be perfect because it'll be, Frank just drove 7 hours over the weekend, and I'm going to drive 7 hours tomorrow. So it'll be perfect. But
It takes me a month to drive 7 hours.
But thanks for all the